All right, guys, we are in a busy location right now, so it might be a bit of a mess, but we're going to talk about sales and basically how you can start getting away from the script. So, if you are starting in sales and maybe you're working for a manager or like you're on an offer right now, you've gotten a script from your coach or the person you're working with, or you've just learned from sales from like a course and it comes with like a script and you're starting like to practice this in real time. So in the beginning, in like the first month, when you start using a script, it's like you do some repetitions with it and like you get a feeling for what it's actually like. Why are we saying this hook, or why are you saying this intro, and why are we saying this pitch in this way? Things like that. And the more you start using that, it gives you something to hold on to, and it just feels safe. And it's like a bit of a guiding mechanism, right? Now, for me, I've been in sales now for 2 years. And so I started with scripts as well. Then, like, I started reading a lot of books. I got into different frameworks. So there's like the framework that Jeremy Miner has, which is very on discovery and consultative selling. There's also like the more old school way of selling, maybe like Jordan Belfort was big on like objection handling, and so is like Andy Elliott. And there's like a lot of different frameworks out there for sales. Like the structure is always different, but if you're selling, in general, and especially if you're selling within a certain offer, you'll notice that there are certain things you need your prospect to make him feel a certain way. There are certain things you need to elicit from your prospect in order to get interest. And so the more you will start feeling when these things are actually happening, instead of just blindly going over the script, the more you can get loose of the script. That's going to be a good thing, because it means now you can actually rely on the live feedback instead of just the script. So to give you an example, a typical script nowadays with like sort of like a gap selling method would be like, you start talking about the business or the current situation, then you start talking about the desired situation, the goals, what they want to achieve. And then the goal is to, in the end of the discovery, often to like elicit some type of urgency and prevent objections. So often we kind of want to like dig into pain and dig into urgency and ask like questions that personally I've always found a bit annoying to ask, because they feel uncalibrated. Things like, why is this the right choice for you now? If this keeps continuing in 6 months, like, how is it going to feel? And these questions, like, the underlying idea behind them is right. But for me, I can't, it doesn't really work well for me. Especially because often I found that I can elicit pain and desire from them a lot earlier on. And then what I notice is that I start screwing it up. For example, I'm working with contractors that want to grow their business, and so they want to get more projects basically. And so maybe in the start they will be like, well, I actually need more projects. I actually feel like, the business isn't doing too well. I feel like projects aren't coming in as they used to be. But then I feel like I just start counteracting the progress by just, the things that I'm saying, or I get angry that they're not following my process and they're not following my script. But actually they are already saying the things that we want them to say. They're feeling the emotions that we want them to feel. So For me, I'm not sure of this, but I think coming off the script and going more into those emotions when they happen, instead of like being so rigid that it needs to be in this way and then I need to ask this question or then I need to go in this phase. I think if I can just flow more, then that's a good thing. And so the other thing is also that we often the emotions that we want to elicit through a script are things that the client are already like a little bit aware of that we want from them. And so often, not always, but it happens often and many times that they do elicit those emotions, and then because maybe it wasn't the right phase for that or the right process for that, then I get annoyed or I start counteracting it subconsciously. Or the other thing that happens is I just start blocking it because I can't allow to feel a genuine sense of holding that space for them. If the client talks about, I feel like projects aren't coming in less, you need to be able to hold that space for them, that you can genuine for them and that you can actually feel a little bit of empathy for them. And if you can't do that, if you get like angry, like, hey, you're not saying the truth, or you have all these things in your mind, these projections in your mind, it's not going to go well. They're going to say the things that you want them and you need them to say, and then you prevent it because you subconsciously block it yourself. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, or how do you call it? So it is a thing. And coming off the script, I think the best things that you can do is, when you want to flow better, just be more genuine with the client and get more of a feeling of what are the emotions that you want to elicit for them, or what are the tangible actions that you want to elicit from them, and then start trying to create that from a state of flow instead of just with your framework. It's good. I think it's good and it's great to have a script and a framework because that gives you a process when things are chaotic and you don't know which direction to go. But it's not good to be too stuck in that. You need to be able to flow and find your way through. So that's what I say. All right, guys. This was the video on sales for today. Check out my next video if you want. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Cheers.